Let's talk about Critters. So as you can see behind me, I have the first four films in a Scream Factory box set. This is the only way you can get the original four films on Blu-ray. There's also a fifth film. I am trying to review these all by Halloween. If that does not come out, I will get back to them next year. And for Christmas time, I have some things planned too. But let's talk about Critters. I just want to say this box set is beautiful. You got reversible artwork. There's making of documentaries and all kinds of interviews with the cast and crew. Tons and tons of interesting stuff on here. So if you're a huge Critters fan and you don't mind paying, I think the cheapest this set was going for about $38, which for four films, great deal. Then yeah, get these films because they are absolutely incredible. Fun movies. These are not great films, especially the first Critters. Now, Critters was already a movie that was in production before Gremlins came out, and by no means is it a Gremlins ripoff film. Because Gremlins has a very different tone, there's rules to the universe and different things like that. Critters is pretty simple. These bounty hunters are enlisted by this alien dude to come to Earth and track down an alien race called the Krites, which are critters. And these critters land on this farm with this family, and they start terrorizing the family and trying to kill them. Now, it's a very cheap movie. It's a very it's very low budget. It's kind of like the Conjuring movies now, where they're in one location. It's kind of like that. But it's actually really effective because these other ones aren't so scary like this one. And I wouldn't say this film's scary, but I will say that it has moments that are like, well, that's a little unnerving, but it's, with them being in the house, it's just these little monsters, and they're slowly eating them out of house and home and everything, and doing these crazy things. And it's about the right pace. It's only 85 minutes, 86 minutes, something like that. So it's like not even an hour. It's about an hour and a half pretty much, but it's not a very long movie. It's just what it needs to be. You have these critters and they're in a house. It's pretty effective. You know exactly what you're going to get into with this one. And I think if you want a dumb, fun, campy horror movie, this is what you go to. And also, the thing to note about these movies is these are throwback movies to kind of the 50s type monster movies with little creatures and things like that. So, like stuff like The Thing from Another World and movies or monster movies and kind of 50s horror movies. That's what these are. They're kind of throwbacks to that with modern technology at the time. Well, at the time, modern technology, because of course this was the 80s, but it was able to do this type of horror kind of throwback thing while having fun and kind of spoofing it a little. And they kind of spoofed it more in the sequel, the main course, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But I think this film is exactly what it needs to be. It's a fun movie, and you don't need to watch 50s horror or anything to watch the Critters. It's just an effective horror film, and at being fun and campy like it's trying to be. It's trying to spoof an old kind of genre movies. The family in the movie, they don't feel like a family from the 80s. They feel like a family from like the 50s. And they kind of wear clothes that are similar to that. Of course, there's like newer technology, newer bands within the movie and things like that. But it's still meant to kind of invoke vibes of the 50s and things like that. And I feel like with that aspect of having 80s technology and it feeling like the 50s or looking like the 50s, I feel like that gives it kind of a timeless feel to it because it isn't really particularly set in one decade, things like that. And I think that's cool. Um, but I think I think this film is the least like Gremlins. The there isn't rules with the critters. It's just hey, they're evil. And this movie's PG-13, unlike Gremlins PG, and which is weird because I feel like this is less violent than this. There's a little bit more language within it, but like there's not the violence of Gremlins. Like Gremlins has that scene where the mom takes the gremlin and she like blows it up in the microwave, and it's like, ugh, but it doesn't have anything like that. It just so it's kind of the least like Gremlins in a sense. These guys are a lot more vicious too. They bite people, they bleed and things like that. So maybe that's why it was PG-13 over PG. But there was gore within Gremlins, and there was kind of Gremlin blood. It was like a different color, which is weird how the rating system works in America, where they'll rate a movie sometimes differently because the color of the blood isn't like the red, which is like why it's still blood. Like you're still showing the same thing on screen. I don't know, but yeah, it's a great movie. Check out Critters if you want kind of a campy or fun horror film to watch during the Halloween season. This isn't some 10 out of 10 movie. Don't expect that. For what it's trying to be, it's fun and effective at that.